How's everybody out there? I got back a little sooner than last time. I think it was 6 to 8 months last time. So this time it's only a month or two. And I've done a lot more work. Places it doesn't look like it, but there was a lot of work involved. I did a lot of wiring. The switch selection box that I had built is completed. And I'll show you what I had to do to actually get it to work. And I built one of the neighborhoods. I put the signals all out on the table on the south side here on the Bloomington-Towanda division. There's 17 switches, and each one of them is equipped with their either dwarf lights, 2-aspect pole lights, or cantilevers. And they all look pretty neat. They all run from the box here, and I'll show you how I did it. I also got some of the caboose manual switches. I put them in the yard, so they're going to be the ladder yard is going to be done with manual switches, but they look pretty neat and they work. And I'll show you what I had to do to get those to work, because they're Pico switches. There's quite a few things, so let's get to it. Okay, I want to introduce you to my new mascot for the videos, Mr. G Godzilla, my friend who played bands with me in the early days. He's a good high school friend. We still see each other all the time. He plays with the Classics 4 now, the band. But he came over and he brought me this. He goes, "This is supposed to be a good luck charm." I said, "I've never heard of it." I says, "But it sure is a funny idea." So I'm going to start each one of them, and every time I have a video, he's going to be doing something different. Today he's hungry. He's got a postal car, eating a postal Jeep. Depends on what he's under contract for that time. This time he's just out there doing a horror movie. I think in one of the weekends he's going to be in here for the grand opening for the Ford dealership, so he'll be standing there maybe with a Mustang in his hands or something, standing there looking good. So we're going to have him around the table being goofy, which is very appropriate for me and my layout. So let's go on. Okay, this entire side of the table from here over to here, which is the East Bloomington and Towanda section, I call it the Bloomington-Towanda division, is in the middle, and you can see at the other end, over on the other side, is the airport. So I have this remote system where I have all the outlets on this remote, and I can just sit there and turn them all on. Pretty handy. There's 2 remotes. Turns everything on, and I managed to finish the box. This is my switching box for this table for the switches and all the signals. And I have there's 2 power supplies on it. I actually had to separate the controls for the actual signals. As you can see, the little dwarf signal right here, and you can see it's on, and all the switches and the lighting here. There's the entire section. I've got them numbered accordingly, and I've got a toggle switch, such like here. And when I do the toggle switch, it's switched to main right now. And if I switch it here, it turns red and it switches and says it's now switched into the siding. So if I do that, the light out on the table, which you can see over there, is the switch and the light on the board switch, but the switch won't go until I actually go over here and hit the momentary switch. I don't know if you could hear that, but it switched it. I'm going to switch it back and switched it back. They all work great. There's a pair of crossovers, one right here, one right here, and then there's a switch, 2-ended switch yard there, one right here, and those switches, each set of those 4 sets of switches run off the same momentary switch, but you can still switch either switch separately. But you have to, say for instance, if I want to just do this one end of the yard, I can switch that one end of the yard to red, and then I can come down here to you can see it's number 4, So come down here and you can see that 4 and 5, the momentary switch is connected to 4 and 5. Well, if I hit it now, it's only going to switch one of them, but it'll send power to each one of them. And then, of course, if I want to switch it back, or switch the other one, for instance, and just hit it again, and it'll do the other one, and I can switch them both back at the same time. So that's how I control the LEDs on the board and the switches. So as I was saying, the light on the board and the switch itself run off of well, actually I was using a 12 volt power pack for the switches and the light on the board, and it wasn't enough power. They wasn't switching them all. So I went out and found, I read up and I said you need at least 16 volts. So I found a couple of old computer power cords upstairs. They're 19.8 volts and they work perfectly. So I plugged those in. So the entire board here works off of 19.8 volts and the switches work flawlessly. And picos and model powers, that's all my switches. Mostly over here model power, but about a third pico and 2/3 model power. Now you can see that I have the picos that I have here. And let's move the caboose down. The pico does have the side switch to it, the PL11s. And you can see that the crossover right here, I would have trouble on some of them. They wouldn't move because they're rubbing against the cork. So I had to take the switch up and I cut a groove in the cork to where this wasn't rubbing on it anymore. And once I did that, it worked perfectly. And over here you can see one of the model powers. And the model powers are very similar to the Atlas switches, except for the points. The points here are much thinner than the Atlas, and as you can see, they look they really set nice. So I bought a bunch of those off of eBay. I think I've got 32 of those, and I think I've got 20 some picos. And so they're all wired up. They all work great. And as you can see, it's green right now. So the signals out on the table, you can see I've got them set up. Well, I've got them individual. You can see there's the set of signals for the New York Central and the New York Central Conrail and the Norfolk and Western to run into the main line there, and they're both red right now because the switches are closed. And I just got these cantilevers for the dual track, and I've got one at each end, and it's a red yellow, it's a 3-aspect yellow, red yellow green, but I can't get the yellows to work the way they're wired, so I have it set up to where it goes from red to green. And I have one over there too. So I can turn those red if there's any switch whatsoever changed in there. But all the other switches, as you can see, have their own little dwarf lights for the sightings. So I can take that, and as you can see here, I've got the little light there, and all I have to do is turns that one red. So I've got that one wired there. You can see the ones over there, the cantilevers. They turn red and green, so they have their own switch. Everything has their own switch, and it works really well. But the only thing is, I had to create another board for the actual signals out on the board, and I had to run them separately with a 12 volt power supply. And the reason being is the LEDs in these signals coming from China are the opposite polarity of these US made LEDs and the switches. So when I had this set up the way it is now, and then when I added the switch in, they didn't like each other. Nothing would work. So I had to turn around, and instead of just having this board, I went and built this board, and I got to put labels on them, what they are, and that's the signaling system for the table. So I had to do some wiring in here, as you can see. So you can see all the wires. Everything's numbered underneath, and everything's numbered on top now. I used a double pull, double throw switch for everything. Even if I didn't need it, I just bought a few packs of them, and they work great. And then I have all the terminals, the black and red negatives powers from the switches and from the momentary switches all come down to the terminal strips on one side, and on the other side they go out to the signals, or they go out to the switch. There's 4 terminals per set. There's a negative and a green and a red for each switch, and then the 4th one is the is the power coming from the other power supply for the signals on the other little board. But you can see that's all. It maybe look like a mess. I can actually follow where they go though. I worked on it long enough. But yeah, it finally worked out really well. I was really happy with that. So all the switches are out there. At the end of this, I'll turn the lights on and show you all the additional switching that I did. There's that. I've got one here that's down. You can see over there. I've got those individually down there because when you're coming in on the main track there, for instance, say the New York Central's the only one coming in, well, I'm gonna have to turn that one green, and I'm gonna have to turn around and have the cantilevers for the main line turn red until they're gone. Then I can switch them back again. So I know it's a little bit of manual labor to do it, but it's neat. It works good. So, and here's the side over here. I did put some roadway down. At the end of this roadway, before it connects up to here, there's going to be a road. There's going to be a road go through here, but it's going to be an underpass. So I'm going to cut it right about here. I'm going to have it go down underneath, and it'll just go underneath, and you can see underneath here. Won't come out, but let's see, it'll be the underpass, and that'll be the old Oakland Avenue underpass, and it's going to come up here and meet here, and that's actually compressed wise, that's actually what happens. It's in between these two areas. And over here you can see another one, and right here by the American Foundry there was Washington Street, and it went underneath the same way, so I'll be cutting another one right there. So signals are in. As you can see, the signals are in. They look pretty good. Oh yeah, there's sets of them up here. So, and one nice thing is the Chinese company that makes these signals makes B&O signals like the GM&O used to use, the circular ones. Well, I found some Model Power Penzi ones, the old-fashioned ones with the bulbs in them. So I'm using them, and I need to do manually change them. But as you can see, as you see right now, it's. Oop, I got go and stop both on. Vertical is go and horizontal is stop. So the other thing I have is I buy Candy Company and the railroad station where I put lights inside, but I have to put a first floor ceiling in the railroad station so you don't see it through the top. That one already I bought from my friend Bill, and he actually has floors in it, so the bottom floor is the only thing lit up right now. And then of course down here I filled this completely in with cork, so to raise it up to the rail level, and I put a walkway here in front of the station, which is actually what it is, and it goes all the way down. Passengers can load on the passenger trains, and then I've got the old-fashioned lights, and those are exactly like the ones that were down there. So I was really happy about getting those, and they're all lit up. And there's some more of those Penzi ones down here. This was the interlock down here that back in the days was a mandatory stop all four directions. And you had the interlock, you had the interlock office there. They had mail and everything else that they did through that. And every train had to stop there. So, but they still had the signals. I put a set of vertical dwarfs right there, facing both directions, and one of these, and that's pretty close to what was there. And I'll have those lit up. And right here by the station, there was some place called Washington Street where my Uncle Charlie had a shoe shop and West Side Clothing. Radio station, all kinds of things. Well, I built that. I finally got the lights, and I used the old-fashioned lights because that's what was there back in the late 60s and early 70s. So you can see that I have Washington Street built, and both sides I put the lights in, and they look great at night. And I'm going to put lights in the buildings, but before I put lights in the buildings, like the station over there, I'm going to go and print out on photo paper, glossy photo paper, and put in the windows for whatever characters need to be, whether it's the grocery store right here or the train station. And for some reason that glossy paper reflects the light inside through really nice. That's what I did at Steak and Shake. So I'll be filling the windows with stuff. There's my great Uncle Charlie's shoe shop. I used to go down there with my mom when I was little, and we'd go visit my Aunt Esther, and we'd sit in the back of the shop when he was working back here, and I'd sit there and watch the trains go by all the time. Back then, they were going by all the time. It was just a kid that was 5 years old had his first HO set. It was awesome. Just sit there, occupied me all afternoon. But there's Morse Avenue, and there's the intersection that I just created. I built some pavement for the gas station, put a light in the gas station, put a couple of lights in the driveway, and this is going to go here. And I stopped the pavement right here because, as you can see, that goes down to the table. Well, this Morris Avenue went downhill at this point, and down to Market Street, which was an underpass underneath the train station, underneath the tracks, and underneath the yards. It was, and I'm going to cut this out, reinforce it, and I'm going to have the road come down like this to that intersection, and it had stoplights. It was Market Street, goes across there, and I'll have it going underneath there, and I'll have a picture underneath there, maybe some light behind it, look like the light coming from the other side, but it'll be the Market Street underpass. And so that's the road will go down underneath there, and it'll stop right there. And then, of course, it goes, Morris Avenue goes all the way out to 66, the old US 66, which is now Veterans Parkway, and it intersects with it there at the Clark station. So that's really where it was, and then it goes out of town. It'll turn and go out of town. So I got my electrical company goes right here. So yeah, it was right there at the curve in town. That's the substation that fed the whole town in the early days. But I just built this over here, got some lighting in it. I just kept going. I really was happy to get the signals done over here. So let's turn some lights out and we'll show you what it looks like. Okay, as you can see, there's the airport I always start with all the time. And over here is where the first cantilever coming around the curve. I thought those signals are pretty neat, because the GM&O actually did have cantilevers on both sides of town, but they had B&O signals on them. These are just the three aspect signals. So I could probably find B&Os and try to put them on there, but I do not want to try to work with that small wiring on there. So, but you can see there's one of the dwarf signals. There's one over there that's for the line, the Norfolk and Southern line, New York Central line going out of town. Bumpton Water Tower. There's the other, you can see the other dwarf signal for the siding right there for that building, for that stone container. There's and there's a pair of them for that. You can see the signals over there on the other side, which we'll see from that side. Of course, here's the old Veterans Parkway and Ireland Grove Road intersection that I always show all the time. And you can see that the dealership's full. And the dealership's going to have a grand opening, so that's probably my mascot, Godzilla, is probably going to be there attending, whether he wants to eat cars or just bring people in. Yeah, Mr. Godzilla is going to be funny. Me and my guitar buddy, he brought it over. We're just not right. So he's going to be my mascot in the videos, like I said before. There's the Tawanda. And you can see there's the signal. That's the signal for the siding for that business on the other side. And you go over here, and there's two of them here, as you can see. Well, the one on the left is for the siding for that business, but the other one is for the siding in Tawanda, and the other green one down at the other end. So those are controlled together. You can see coming into the IC section here. Got the dwarfs in there for that. You can see the dwarfs down there for the other sidings and on down. Of course, you can see downtown normal or uptown normal, ISU, East Campus, Normal Public Library. I don't have the LED fixed on one of the dorms yet. I have to pull it out. I think I broke the wire on it one day, so I just have to take it out and glue a new one back in. It'll be great. Of course, you can see there's the walkway. Of course, this part of the campus is only about 4 blocks from my house here. Normal water tower in the yard. And let's go inside again. Of course, there's Steak and Shake. Normal water tower. The yard at night. I've got the other floodlight from the other end now, so it lights the yard up a little better. And you can see here, there's the little switch, little caboose switches I have on there. And what I had to do is I had to drill the hole out farther because these Picos have a little knob right there. Well, the knob was bigger than the hole. When I put them in there, I would turn this and it would slip off. So when I made the hole bigger and tightened it down, now you can see that it actually does the change. It does a change. So they all work that way. But I had to make that change to them. I had to take the hole on that end of the caboose and had to make it bigger to accommodate the little pin that's on there. But it works perfect now. So that's another thing I had to do to make something work. But I've got them all the way down the yard now. So this whole front yard's gonna be manual. That's okay. It's close to. But all the switches in the back and everything are already remotes, and I'll be hooking all those up. So all those switches in the back, I'll be able to get to. Here's Washington Street at night. It's got the old-fashioned lights, and they had those old-fashioned lights in there for a long time. That's why I have the mercury lamps on Morse Avenue. But and I have them in the gas station too. But they had the old-fashioned lights, and they looked always, that whole block always looked so neat. You can see a switch engine down there. Must be doing second shift work. You can see the train station. You can see all the lighting out front. It's got the whole platform lit up, and it's all lit up. I'm going to put some floors in there. Each floor will have their own independent lights, so it'll look a little different. And of course, there's the first floor of Bike Candy Company, and you can see there's a space right here. Well, right here, back in those days, there was a very unusual bridge, concrete bridge, that started and went across and connected to the side of the train station, and then turned immediately and went down in front of Bike's Candy Company and went downhill. So I'm going to build that, and from up above, that platform up above where the concrete was, there was a couple parking places back there, and there was a door. You can take these huge, cool marble steps down to the main floor. So I'm going to try to have that all built and come out over here, and I'll have it curve around. But try to compress that and get that in there. But you can see this is what I've this is the other part I was working on after I spent days and days and days on my switching system over there, because I kept running into things. Kept adding power systems to it. Kept having to do some rewiring, have some testing. It just took forever to finally get it the way I wanted it. But happy with this one here. Here's Uncle Charlie's shop's closed. It's after dark, so he usually went home. This used to be the Beehive grocery store, so I'll have to get some grocery type pictures to go in the windows there. So yeah, it's pretty neat. I was happy how it all came out. So it's starting to get some light over here on this side of the table. There's the radio tower. It's equivalent to 270 feet, which the tower is actually taller than 270 feet, but that's what I had, because the guy I bought it 3D printed from a guy, and I had to put it together. And of course, there's everything else. There's all the other signals over there. You can see some are changing over there. See down underneath there. So it's really neat to be able to do this. And of course, there's the board all lit up. So I just wanted to show you what I was doing. Been a couple months since I put anything out there. So enjoy, and everybody enjoy the fall. It's beautiful out there right now. And I'll talk to you soon.